So there's been quite a bit of work done since the last video. I've set up my C++ application to be the trading. It's going to be the trading bot where I'll be performing all the calculations. So let's see what's going on in here. I'm going to run my code. And just to give you a quick idea of what it's going to do, it's going to request Euro USD rates in an hourly interval for the whole day. So then I'm going to run it. And there we go. I'm getting open, close, and then a range in here. This is simply the high price minus the low price. Then that gives you a range that the price moved in during an interval. So yeah, this is actually all pretty useful because now these candles are available for performing calculations or drawing in some kind of graphics app. So let's take a look at how all of this stuff fits together and works. Here we have a C++ client. This is going to be the trading bot itself. That's going to be doing all of the calculations and eventual predictions. And yeah, to get the candles from the Java app, there's going to be a socket connection opened up to the Java server. So if we take a look at this candle client, it's got a TCP socket in here. And then taking a look at the implementation, all that's happening is it's creating a new socket and then connecting to the server, which is going to be the local host server or whatever server you have running on your local network, and a port number. Some cleanup code, which is important here because we're allocating some memory. And then finally, the most important method in here is the get latest candles. So all this thing does is it takes in one of these candle request objects that we'll look at in a bit. It places that into a binary stream, so a stream of bytes. And then finally, it sends that request to the server. The request is going to be sent to the thing on the other side of the socket. Then it receives the data, the response. And then I just do some processing on the stream of bytes that came in. But then eventually, there's going to be a bunch of candle data inside of that binary stream. So then all of the candles will then be read and placed into a little container, which is a vector passed by reference. And this then gets, wherever this gets called, those candles can then be used. So in this case, all I'm doing is logging their open, close, and their range. Some code that's been written in to support all of this. There's quite a lot of stuff going on in here. I have a net message. And this is simply a little container that's going to indicate what type of request is coming in. So this is the structure that I use to facilitate communication over my TCP connection. This socket address class, this simply encapsulates a IP address and a port number. Then the TCP socket, this is also a custom class. It encapsulates an underlying socket. So in this case, it's going to be, let's see here, there's a types file around here somewhere. So on Windows, that's going to be a socket, and it comes out of the WinSock library. And on Linux, where I am right now, it's going to come out of the sys.socket header file, and it's an integer. So that's all that's going on in here. So the code is pretty straightforward socket code, just sending some bytes and receiving some bytes. Let's see what else is pretty interesting. There's candle request. So I have a candle request here, which encapsulates and makes it easy to construct something that will eventually be used to create a URL like this one. So in here there's an instrument, an interval, and a range. And that's exactly what this is doing. Because I'm using enums both on the C++ side and the Java side, these things make it a bit easier to work with. So that's the request, which gets sent to the Java app. So this is the Java program that I created in the last video, and it had quite a bit of work done on here. The most notable thing is going to be the TCP connectivity. So there's a candle server, pretty much just a server sitting here in the Java program, waiting for connections to come in. When a connection comes in, it creates one of these candle clients from the socket connection. And then this thing will parse that request. And then depending in here, this is the code. So it'll parse that request into what needs to happen. And then based on the type of the message type that came in, it can either do a quick test connectivity operation, which only indicates that the client can communicate with the server, or it can do the get candles operation, which is simply going to use that Yahoo client that we created in the previous video to get the candles. And then instead of just passing that as JSON back to the C++ program, it has to now encode it into a binary stream and then send it over the socket connection. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Some supporting code around here is going to be the net message, which has the type and the data. Types could be test connectivity, confirm, and get candles. Then we have the candle request itself, instrument, interval, and range. This also just encapsulates the parameters for the URL. And eventually those things come from here. So there's the instrument, interval, and range enums that are used to construct the URI to call the endpoint at Yahoo Finance or your trading broker. So that's it. We can now send candles to a client application, and then this can actually get expanded to include things like placing trades and monitoring them to see if they'll turn a profit or if they're having too much of a loss. But anyways, placing trades and closing them. But we won't be doing that soon. There's still quite a bit of work before that can happen. So thanks for watching, and the next one should be ready in a bit, but I'll see you there. Cheers.